What is going on, ladies and gentlemen? Podcast number 3 of the day. Welcome into the Philly Faithful podcast. My name is Troy Brock. I am your host. You can find this podcast on Spotify or iTunes. And if you are listening there, leave us a 5-star rating. It helps us out tremendously. And if you're watching on YouTube, leave us a like, leave us a comment, and hit that subscribe button and turn on that notification icon so you can be notified when more episodes just like this one go live. You can find me on Twitter at Troy B Baseball, and you can find the show on Twitter at Philly Faith Pod. This is your one-stop shop for news, updates, and opinions on your Philadelphia Phillies. And we are going to jump right on into it. Take a look back at yesterday's game. Now that I have had time to sleep and calm and talk about other things in the last 2 podcasts that I did this morning, and we'll take a little bit cooler approach to how last night's game went. The Mets won 7-2. In case you didn't know, the Mets did win last night's game. Alonso and Winker both hit solo home runs off of Aaron Nola. Like I said in the instant reaction last night, Alonso's home run was not bad pitching from Aaron Nola. It was better hitting from Pete Alonso. It was a perfect pitch that Aaron Nola threw, and Pete Alonso just went out there and got it and drove it over the right field wall for a solo home run. And Jesse Winker's home run was a bad pitch that Nola left hanging, and Jesse Winker made Nola pay for it by putting it in the seats after just missing one earlier in the game where Nick Castellanos had to make a fantastic jumping catch into the wall in right field. And there was a little bit of a controversy on that play. I think the runner on first should have been out, but he was not ruled out. But that's another conversation for a different day. But those 2 solo home runs were the only damage that the Mets did on Nola and the Phillies through the first 5 innings. Rob Thompson did what Rob Thompson does best and left Aaron Nola in an inning too long. Nola loaded the bases in the 6th with a single followed by 2 walks before being pulled for Orion Kerkering, who came in with the bases loaded and no outs. So you really can't blame Kerkering for giving up 2 runs. Both of those went on Nola's line. And like I said, you can't blame Kerkering for that. He was brought in a bad situation. He did get a force out at the plate for the first out and then a fly out where the runners did not tag up, but then he gave up a single, which scored 2 runs on that before getting out of the inning. Again, it's not on Kerkering. He came in with the bases loaded and no outs. He did the best he could. Nola was left in an inning too long, and Kerkering was brought in with the bases loaded and no outs. So it is what it is. Jose Alvarado came in to start the 7th inning, and he just continues to be unusable. Throwing 100 miles an hour plus is cool if you know where it's going, and he doesn't ever know where it's going. He allowed 2 more runs, so it gave the Mets a 6-0 lead, and that was just out of reach. It was out of reach at 4 runs with the way the offense was playing, but we'll get to that in a little bit. And I got to that a lot last night in the instant reaction episode if you watched or listened to that. But Jose Alvarado, again, just continues to be unusable. As soon as the game came back from commercial and the camera was on Jose Alvarado on the mound, I turned to my wife and I said, we are punting this game. The Phillies are punting this game. And that is what has been the case for the second half of the season with Jose Alvarado. He is, because of his inconsistent command of his pitches and the inconsistent control over his pitches, he is an inconsistent pitcher. And he's shown it time and time again throughout his career that he is inconsistent. And relievers as a whole are inconsistent, but he is more so than most. And through the second half of the season, he has just been absolutely unusable. It's surprising to me that he was even on the postseason roster with how bad he has been in the second half of the season. But again, they really don't have much more of an option outside of him. Jose Ruiz came in with 2 outs to relieve Alvarado, and he gets out of Alvarado's mess, doesn't allow any runs. And then Carlos Estevez came in to the 8th, and he continues to show that his hot start with the Angels was a fluke. He's not a good pitcher. He's definitely not a closer, especially on a contending team. He can be a closer on a team like the Angels or the White Sox where, they don't have many save situations. He can go in their very few save situations and prove to be useful there. But on a contending team, he's just not that guy. And he has shown that time and time again. He committed an error It was a comebacker. I don't remember who hit it, but it was a comebacker that he tried to barehand, and he botched that, and it started rolling towards first base. So he took off after it and tried to glove a ball that was sitting still, and botched that as well. And so everybody was safe. And after the play, he and Bryce Harper were both walking back to the mound, and he did this. If you're watching on YouTube, he did this. If you're listening, he tapped on his chest and he said, "That's on me, my bad." And it really couldn't have been on anybody else. So, yeah, it is definitely on you, Carlos Estevez, because it couldn't have been on anybody else. I wanted to bring that up in the instant reaction last night and just got tied up in the offense and forgot about it. But I think that the run, he did allow a run. It was unearned because it was an error on him. And in my opinion, I think that that is dumb. I think that if a pitcher commits an error, then any runs that they allow should still be earned because it's the pitcher committing the error. I can understand runs being unearned if an error goes on another fielder that winds up allowing runs to score. But if the error is on the pitcher, I don't care if they're a fielder at that point. It should still be earned. I think that ruling is dumb. And I think it should be changed across the board. And I've felt that for a very, very long time. As far as the offense goes, Harper and Castellanos hit RBI singles in the top of the eighth to make it a 6-2 ball game. And that would be the only runs that the Phillies would score in the game because the offensive approach was non-existent. As I talked about last night, they went up there hacking at the first pitch, not taking pitches, not being selective, not being patient, because Sean Manaea went 7 innings, and he was not good in those 7 innings. He was very wild. He was very all over the place. He walked 2 batters, and he hit 2 more, and he should have walked more than just those 2. But and one of the Phillies batters even swung at a pitch that hit him in the foot. So he would have had 3 hit by pitches and should have had more walks than he did. But the offensive approach was non-existent. Swinging at the first pitch, chasing balls out of the zone. It's just the approach was not there, and it led to the Phillies now having a 2-1 deficit in the National League Division Series with 1 game left to play. So it all hinges on tonight's game, which is at 5:08 p.m. Eastern. I was wrong when I said 4:08 p.m. Eastern in yesterday's show about last night's game. They did move them back to 5:08, and it is 5:08 again today. It's going to be on FS1 again. Ranger Suarez at Jose Quintana. Phillies faced Quintana 3 times this season. He pitched 16 innings against the Phillies with a 2.81 ERA, 9 strikeouts, a 0.938 whip, and held the Phillies to a triple slash of 224, 274, 259 for a 533 OPS over 62 plate appearances. So he's had some pretty good success against the Phillies this season. Hopefully that changes in the postseason and the Phillies can have some success against him. As far as the batters go for what could be the starting lineup, I really have no clue at this point after last night's game, but what could be the starting lineup, designated hitter Kyle Schwarber has gone 7 for 24 in his career against Quintana, 7 strikeouts, no walks, 292, 292, 458, triple slash. Shortstop Trey Turner, 6 for 24, 3 strikeouts, no walks, 250, 250, 292, triple slash. First base, Bryce Harper, 4 for 21, 8 strikeouts, 1 walk, 190, 217, 381, triple slash. Right field, Nick Castellanos, 13 for 53, 10 strikeouts, 2 walks, 245, 286, 396, triple slash. Those 4 are pretty much a given. You really have no other options. And Kyle Schwarber and Bryce Harper, they have to be in the lineup. They're your 2 best hitters. Trey Turner, arguably, and in my opinion, somebody else should be starting over him, or he should be much further down in the lineup, as well as Nick Castellanos. But at this point, go with what you got. Alec Bohm, third base, could be Edmundo Sosa at third base. Really just don't know what goes on in the head of Rob Thompson at this point. It should be Alec Bohm at third base, though. 3 for 15, 3 strikeouts, no walks, 200, 467, triple slash. It is a lefty on the mound. Quintana is a lefty, so it might be Edmundo Sosa over Bryson Stott. At second base, like it was in last night's ball game, 3 for 9 against Quintana is Edmundo Sosa in his career with 3 strikeouts, no walks, a 333, 455, 444 triple slash. So he has had success against Quintana in his career. And I don't have Bryson Stott's numbers right here, but obviously I did see them when I was getting these. And Bryson Stott has not had success against Jose Quintana. So it probably will be Edmundo Sosa against Quintana, at least to start the game. Catching, JT Realmuto, 4 for 19, 1 strikeout, 3 walks, 211, 318, 368 triple slash against Quintana in his career. Left field, another question mark after last night's game. Rob Thompson blamed it on rust for Austin Hayes as far as why he was not successful in last night's ball game. I think I've made pretty clear my feelings about Austin Hayes. Yes, I think he should start against left-handed pitchers, but he's still not a good hitter in the long run, even though he has had more success against left-handed pitchers than right-handed pitchers throughout his career and this season also. But I think they're going to make a change again. I think it's going to be Weston Wilson starting in left field. He's 0 for 6 with 2 strikeouts, no walks against Quintana in his career, zeros across the board. And finally, the guy with the most success against Quintana, who would not surprise me if they did not start him, Johan Rojas in center field, 5 for 9, 2 strikeouts, no walks, 556 across the board for him in his triple slash against Quintana. Like I said, he's had the most success against Quintana. Small sample size, 9 at bats, but the triple slash is there. But again, with Rob Thompson as a manager, it would not surprise me if he was not starting in tonight's game. Just, I don't know. The way the offense played last night, I really have no answers at this point. And it's just a question mark for what this team is going to do. I'm actually going to be writing a piece for Sports Illustrated in just a little while on that the Phillies should clean house if they wind up losing the National League Division Series, if that be tonight or if they do force a Game 5 and wind up losing in Game 5. If the Phillies lose in the National League Division Series, they need to clean house. It's well past time that Rob Thompson is gone. Like I said last night, I don't care that he has the best win percentage for a manager in the history of the Philadelphia Phillies franchise. That means nothing when you can't win in the postseason. And he got to the World Series in 2022. Like I said before, any manager could have done that with that roster. And he got to the National League Championship Series last year. And the blow up was on Craig Kimbrell, but using Craig Kimbrell in back-to-back days after he blew one game, why would you turn to him again in another game? It just bad managing, and bad managing has gotten us to this point, and the offense not showing up because Rob Thompson is more about vibes than being good at his managerial job. So we'll see what happens today. But Ranger Suarez faced the Mets 3 times this season, 3 starts, 15 2/3 innings, a 2.30 ERA, 13 strikeouts, a 1.468 whip, 262, 343, 462 triple slash against with an 804 OPS and 73 plate appearances. So that ERA is a little not telling of how Ranger Suarez really has done against the Mets this season, as he has not done well against them. They have pretty much stuck with the same lineup throughout the postseason and this series as a whole. So Francisco Lindor, shortstop, 5 for 16, 2 extra base hits, 1 strikeout, 1 walk against Suarez in his career, a 313, 389, 563 triple slash. Third baseman Mark Vientos, 3 for 15, 2 extra base hits, 7 strikeouts, no walks, 200, 467 triple slash. Phillies held him well last night, and hopefully they can do it again tonight. Left fielder Brandon Nimmo, 3 for 25, no extra base hits, 4 strikeouts, 3 walks against Suarez in his career, 120, 214, 120 triple slash. He has had the most plate appearances against Ranger Suarez in his career and has not fared well against him. So that's a good sign for Ranger Suarez against one of the Mets' better hitters. First baseman Pete Alonso, 2 for 17, 2 extra base hits, 4 strikeouts, 8 walks, 118, 400, 235 triple slash. The walks aren't great against Alonso, but he has limited the extra base hits. Alonso's does have 2 hits against him, and both of them have been extra base hits, but that's come in 25 plate appearances. So that's a good sign for another one of the Mets' better hitters. Jose Iglesias, 6 for 8, 2 extra base hits, 1 strikeout, no walks, 750, 750, 1,000 triple slash against Ranger Suarez in his career. That seems like it's probably all come this season. He's just been proving that he is a good hitter all season. He's been putting the bat on the ball and probably played well above his head, but really can't tell because he's been doing it for a while this season, and he continues to do so in the postseason. And he, along with Mark Vientos, have really proven to be a thorn in the Phillies side in this series, as well as another thorn in the Phillies side, at least in yesterday's game. Designated hitter Jesse Winker, 1 for 5 against Suarez in his career. No extra base hits, 2 strikeouts, no walks, a 200, 333, 200 triple slash. Right fielder Starling Marte, 6 for 19, 1 extra base hit, 1 strikeout, 2 walks, 316, 381, 368 triple slash. Center fielder Tyrone Taylor, 2 for 7, no extra base hits, 1 strikeout, no walks, 286s across the board for Tyrone Taylor against Ranger Suarez in his career. And Francisco Alvarez, who has faced Ranger Suarez more than any other Phillies pitcher that the Phillies have thrown so far, which is crazy. But he has gone 1 for 7 with 1 extra base hit, 3 strikeouts, and no walks against Suarez, and a 143, 125, 571 triple slash against Ranger Suarez. The plan initially was for Ranger Suarez to have the pitch limit that he had in the last 2 postseasons, the 75 pitches, 2 times through, should get you 2 times through the order roughly, and then turn it over to the bullpen. I don't know if that will still be the case today. We'll have to wait and see. And it's been a frustrating series. And I know that in the 2 of the 3 instant reaction episodes that my frustration has come across pretty clearly. And it has been a frustrating series because if it's not Rob Thompson managing the team out of the ball game, it's the offense just not showing up. And the offense really hasn't shown up as a whole. They've had 4 good innings in the postseason, and they all came in game 2. In the other 23 innings of baseball, the offense has just not shown up across the board. And I was on First Pitch this morning with Lindsey Crosby, and he asked me a really good question when we were talking about this series. He asked me if it's the top 3 in the order, Schwarber, Turner, and Harper, if they need to step up more, or if it's more the rest of the lineup, if they need to be better producers whenever, they take their plate appearances. And my answer to him was it's both. Yes, the top 3 in the lineup have been good for the most part as a combined unit, but the hits really haven't come in a timely manner and when they needed them the most. And yes, Nick Castellanos had that walk-off in game 2, but other than that, the hits as a whole have not come when the team has needed it the most, and the rest of the lineup has not performed well really at all. The approaches across the board have not been good, especially in last night's game, which, I hate to beat a dead horse, but that's just where we sit today. It's frustrating, and it's not great going into an elimination game against a division rival, especially one that is such a big rival as the New York Mets. And it's a frustrating series. Hopefully the Phillies can win tonight and take it back to game 5 and have Zach Wheeler on the mound in game 5 in the elimination game, because it will be the last game of the series for either team. But the Phillies offense has to show up tonight. Stop doing the gimmicky stuff with the pitching machine way outside the L screen. Don't do any gimmicky stuff. Just have normal batting practice. Have a better approach going to the plate. Don't swing at the first pitch unless it's right down the middle. Like you should not be swinging at the first pitch ever unless it is right down the middle. And you shouldn't take a first pitch if it is right down the middle. Don't chase stuff that's in the opposite batter's box. Like it's frustrating, man. It is just frustrating. But it is an elimination game tonight. The Phillies will go home either way with a win or a loss. The Phillies will go back to Philadelphia. Win just lets them play more baseball. So hopefully the Phillies can pull it out with a win. They've got to go to the plate with a better approach, and Ranger Suarez has to be postseason Ranger Suarez from the last 2 seasons. It's not a good spot that the Phillies find themselves in, but if any team can do it, it's the Phillies. They have shown us time and time again that they can win. They won 95 games in the regular season. They made it to the World Series in 2022. They made it to the National League Championship Series in 2023. They gotta win the next 2 games to make it to the National League Championship Series in 2024. And the way they played so far, it's really questionable on if they are able to do that or not. But we'll find out in 7 or so hours when the game starts, and then probably 10 hours before the game is over. But this has been the Philly Faithful Podcast. Thank you for joining us today on your daily one-stop shop for news, updates, and opinions on your Philadelphia Phillies. My name is Troy. You can find me at Troy B Baseball. You can find the show on Twitter at Philly Faith Pod, faith spelled just like the podcast. If you're listening on Spotify or iTunes, give us that 5-star rating. It helps us out tremendously. If you're watching on YouTube, leave a like, leave a comment, hit that subscribe button, and turn on that notification icon so you can be notified when another episode just like this one goes live. And until that next episode goes live, I've been Troy. You've been awesome. Peace, love, and rock and roll. No rock and roll t-shirt today. I'm out. Bye.